The beauty of Python is, as discussed in the last session, it is a multi-purpose programming language, right? You can develop any kind of applications in Python. So that is one of the important features of using Python. And also we discussed about the IDEs. What are the IDEs? Integrated Development Environment, like Jupyter Notebook. We discussed about Jupyter Notebook, and also we discussed where to download Anaconda software and how to install the Anaconda software. And also we started a little bit on Google Colab, how to use Google Colab to execute your script on Google Cloud. And also I showed you how to enable the different types of processor, CPU, GPU and TPU. By default CPU was used, and if you wanted to run any CPU intensive applications, then you can enable the GPU. That also I showed you. Anyway, we will work on the Google Colab later. I will show you how to upload files, all the things. Okay, I'll later. And also I showed you Spider and Jupyter Notebook get installed as part of Anaconda. When we install Anaconda, behind the scene it install Python as well as the Jupyter Notebook Spider. Using Jupyter Notebook or Spider, you can write the Python script and you can execute it there. Apart from this, PyCharm, I told you PyCharm is also used by many of the users. And this PyCharm user interface is based on the Java Swing. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Java Swing. Okay. Anyway, you don't have to be familiar with Java Swing. All you need to do is just install PyCharm. There is a PyCharm Community Edition is available. Just do Googling. Okay, go to Google and type PyCharm space user community, right? A download, and you can easily find out and download the PyCharm. Anyhow, I'll show you how to PyCharm also later point in time. Apart from this, we have something called PyDev. And interactive editor for Python, IPEP and PyQt, and these are the IDEs are available. That's what this one I did not tell you. I explained you the other IDEs like the Jupyter Notebook and what is the thing? The Jupyter Notebook and Spider, right? PyCharm we will see it later. Anyhow, so the IDEs doesn't matter. First of all, you try to understand the basics and the intermediate level of Python, so that you will be all set to work on the advanced level of Python. Okay. So yeah, we just looked at the variables, how to define a variable in Python, right? So now let us go to the Jupyter Notebook. Look here. So how do I go to Jupyter? So go to your start button, type Jupyter Notebook. I hope all of you must have installed Anaconda, right? Jupyter Notebook. And if you have not yet done, what you do is, right, tomorrow by lunchtime you just ping me in the WhatsApp, because we work even Saturday, Sunday also. Okay. And if you during lunchtime, if you can ping me in WhatsApp, right, I will help you out. So just type Jupyter Notebook in the start button, and on the right side you will since I already installed Anaconda, it is there. My Anaconda got installed successfully. So all you need to just go and type it here. So you will find Jupyter. Click open. It will open. I already opened it. It will open the Jupyter Notebook dashboard. I don't want this to happen again. Initially, 1 second. Oh my God, I closed it mistakenly. I think I opened the extra one here. Yeah, it's still the other kernel is running. Okay. Right. So it will before opening this, right, it will bring up your Windows operating system window, right? The operating OS pop-up will come, right? Operating system command line pop-up, command line window pop-up will come. So there you have to wait. When you see that, it will take some time to start the Python kernel. So once you see localhost : 8, 8, 8. In some cases 8, 8, 8, 9 will come. Okay. Once you see that, just minimize it, don't close it. That OS command line pop-up window, right? So that you just minimize it once you see this one, and then go to I prefer Google browser, Google Chrome browser. So you just come here and localhost :88. If you type it, right, and press enter, you will see this one. This is what your Jupyter notebook. This one. Dashboard. This is what we call dashboard. So these are the documents that are there in our installation folder. That is what it shows. And the next thing is you just click new and click Python 3. I think in the new version, the new version also the same thing will be there, right? You just click Python 3. It will take you here. It will open a new Jupyter notebook. Okay, it will open a new Jupyter notebook. So using this, we can write Python commands. And we will start with understanding how to define a variable, and this I already discussed it. And x is a variable, right? So print x, what value stored in the variable x. You just think at this moment the variable is nothing but a container, right? Let's say you have a basket. In the basket name is x. Inside the basket you put the value 2, right? So now you wanted to see what value stored in your basket, right? So print x. X is nothing but basket, right? So print x. Show me what is there in this x, right? Variable x, right? 2. So actually x is nothing but it is the memory location, kind of, roughly speaking, it is a memory location, right? Roughly speaking, okay? And when you store the value 2, you should be knowing it, or the system should know what value the 2 is, right? How to fetch the value 2 from the memory. See, you can define value to another variable also, isn't it? You can define another value also, right? So if you wanted to see the ID address of this one, ID of x, right? So ID of x and ID of y. See, both of them are same. When you store the value 2 in x, right? Or simply say, I wanted to store the value 2 in a variable called x and y or something else, some other variables.
What is ID set? Yeah.
I'll tell you. Okay, it's address location, right? Address location. See, both x and y values are same. It is pointing to the same address. It's something like only when you specify the address on your letter. Let's say you are sending a courier letter, right? You are sending a letter via the courier. So they ask you the address of a person, right? This is kind of address. Behind the scene, the Python, it uses some address to refer the value stored in the variable x. Okay, behind the scene it uses this one, ID of x. But if you look at these two address, these two variable x and y are pointing to the same location. These two variable are pointing to the same location. This is what we discussed. Variables in Python are case sensitive. Yeah, this I forgot to tell you yesterday in the last session. So for example, small x is different from capital X. Small x is different. For example, if I say x equal to 2, and if I use ID of x, let's see what happens. Even this one also pointing to, because the value is same, right? It doesn't want to store the same value in the different parts of memory. Okay, all these three values are pointing to the respective value, x, y, and capital X, something like that. Okay, this is what is happening. So how many of you are aware of the C language, C or Java? Kishore, why don't you tell me what is address of a variable? It's kind of a ID of x, nothing but the address of a variable, right? So in which address the value for x is stored, right? In this address for this variable x, in this address the value 2 got stored. Can we say like that, right? Similarly, for all the three variables, when you look at it, the address for all the three variables are same only, because it doesn't want to store the value 2 in different places. Okay, different places. For example, if I want to use price equal to 100, right? So print price. If I want to view price, I can see that. And if I wanted to view the type, we have a function called type function, type of price. If I want to see the data type, this is int. Okay, and supposing if I store x equal to 2.23. So when you use the id of x, let's see what happens. Now it is completely different value, right? It's completely different value. And if you use id of y, it remains same as this one, right? It remains same. So if you use the same value for different variable name with the different variable name, still all the variables will be using the same value, right? The same address to refer the value. But if you change the variable value, right, obviously this 2.23 got stored in different memory location. This is different from this value, right? This value earlier, this is different from this value, id of x, right? So yeah, this is the latest one. Sorry for the confusion, I should have typed it above this one. This is the previous value, right? Previous address of x and y. So since I changed the value of x, this 2.23 got stored in the different location of the the memory, right? Like we store some information in memory, right? Let's say I saw Ram Kumar. I have, even if I don't see him now, right? I saw him only once. In my brain, in one portion, his face is stored, right? His face got stored. And similarly, if other people, Gilbert, right? I saw him long back. Still, I remember him, right? His value is stored in other part of my memory, right? Similarly, the 2.23 is different from 2. Hence, this value got stored in the different part of the memory, right? Similarly, right? Because these 2.23 is not same as this one. To validate that, right? In which address of, let me execute this one again. So now the address got changed, right? Because I reassigned it again. When you execute it, it'll get reassigned. Now this location is different, right? So okay, y equal to 2, and so id is nothing but the address. Don't worry, we will discuss in detail later. Okay. So what is the data type of this variable x now? We use a function called type. Why I call the type as a function? Anything you use, any right? If you use the parenthesis, this is called your parenthesis, followed by a variable, right? Followed by type or anything, right? Followed by any word. If you type parenthesis, that means it is a function. So I use a type function, okay, type function, and to check the data type of the variable x. So it is a float data type. What is float? Decimal value, 2.23. It has some decimal value. It is not a whole number. Whereas when I look at the price, it is a whole number, hence it says integer. Integer is a whole number, and here in this case it is a decimal value because of float data type. Integer, float, okay, fine. What other data types are there? There are 3 or 4 or 5 data types are there. Like the other languages, we use different data types, right? Similarly, here also we have different data types are there. What are the other data types? Other data types are there. Flow, complex number. You have something called complex number. Complex number is a number with real and imaginary components. How many of you worked with the complex number in other programming languages? Supposing, let's say, I'm going to declare a variable or define a variable a is equivalent to 4 plus 2j. So the value 4 on the right side is your real part. The j here, right? So this is your, in this expression, see, right? This is the expression. In this expression, the first value is your real and second value is your imaginary part. Second value is your imaginary. Is there anyone used to the complex number, complex data type? Right? So now I'm going to type what value stored in. I want to print, instead of using print function, I can specify directly the value a, the variable a name here, right? You can use print also. See here, I stored the value 100 in a variable price. If you want to view the value contained in price, print price, I can use a print function. Instead of using print function, I could have mentioned price itself, right? The second line, had I mentioned price, it would have, so no need to use print. But the advantage of print, I will tell you now. Why should I use print? I will tell you why should we. So before that, let's use type A. Here itself I will tell you. For example, it should show the right type A. This variable A is a complex data type. We have 3 lines here. Earlier we had only 2 lines. Hence, when I typed just A, it showed me the value stored in the variable A. So what happened when I typed in the third line, when I use the type function or any command in the third line, the second line value will not get displayed. It will be overwritten. Right? So that's the reason why we use print function here. Print A. Okay. So now it displays the value stored in this one, and also the last one also it shows. Okay, and fine. So type is for the data type. It's a complex data type. That's what it says. And for example, can I say a of 0 here? It will not work. This is a complex variable, hence you cannot. It is not it's not an ordered data type, right? So you cannot do this thing. And for example, a is equal to b is equivalent to 2 plus 3j. This is also complex data type. Let's do one thing. A plus b, 6 plus 5j. 6 plus 5j. The real and the real part, right? So 2 and 2 got added, and the imaginary part got added. 6 plus 5j. Okay. So this is, but can I say c is equivalent to 2 plus let's say 2 or 3 k? So type of c, is this correct? No, you cannot use just like that. Okay, the imaginary j is nothing but imaginary part. In our programming language they use I, imaginary part. Okay, to represent imaginary part they use I, whereas in Python it is j. Okay, when you specify any arithmetic, when you do any arithmetic operation, especially when you use the arithmetic operator plus, it adds the values real with real and imaginary with imaginary. Okay, that's what we have seen it. 4 plus 2j and 2 plus 3j. When I did a plus b, this is what we could see, right? But can I add a b plus 2? Yes, that is also possible. If you add any value with the complex number, right, based on the component which you used it will go and get added with the respective component. In this we have real and imaginary component. When I added 2, the 2 got added with the real part. Similarly, we will see b plus 3j, it should be 6j, right? It is working this way. You can do it this way, fine. And can I do a b star 3 multiplication? Yes, that is also possible, right? 3 into 2, 6 plus, see what happened. So b is, when I do multiplication, what is happening? One second, what values are there in B? I'll just show you once again. See, when I use 3, when I perform arithmetic operation, right? Scalar value, let's say scalar value. What do you mean by scalar value? Single value, okay? When I add a scalar value with B, it is getting added with the respective component. Since it is the real, right? This is real part value get added the real value get added with real part. But when I use multiplication, what is happening here? What is happening? B, so 2, actually the value is stored in B plus, sorry, in B. One second, I will type you the value for B. So 2 into 3, 6, 3 into 3, 9j. When you do multiplication, it get multiplied with both the values. Right? This is what you need to remember it when it comes to 2. B divided by 2. See, anything other than multiplication or addition, or let us say subtraction, B minus 2, 3j. But when it comes to addition and subtraction, it is happening only with the real number. When I use the real number to perform arithmetic operation like plus addition or subtraction, it is getting added or subtracted from the real value only. But when I multiply a real value with the complex variable, right, complex data type variable B, multiplication and division is happening for both the components. That is what you need to remember it when it comes to the complex number. So, for example, if I have something like A1 is equivalent to 8 plus simply J, will it work? J into 1 is 1, but it says J is not defined. It gets confused because the Python kernel thinks that the J is a variable. It thinks that it is a variable, hence, right? So you cannot, you have to specify some value in the imaginary part. Okay, you have to specify some value in the imaginary part. Okay, in that case, do I have to specify any value in the 2j? You don't have to specify. Now still we will check what is A2 is all about. It's a bit difficult to keep everything in mind, but here simply if I say J, right, it will get confused. The same error will come. But if I specify 2j, that means the kernel understand just by looking at the right side of the value, right? This value, the kernel, by seeing this value, the kernel, okay, any value multiplied by j, right? Are there any value multiplied by j? Yes, some value, 2j or 10j, 100j, whatever it may be, right? So can I use negative value? You will see what is happening. Negative value, imaginary part, yes, negative value also you can use it. Or can I use any decimal value? That is also possible. You can use a decimal value, you can use a negative value in as part of your imaginary value. Even the same thing is applicable for the real. You can specify negative value also, need not to be the positive value. But only thing is, when it comes to when you use the arithmetic operators like plus, minus, or multiplication, you should be cautious, right? You should be knowing all these things, okay? And also importantly here, this rule you are not supposed to forget it. If you add any value or in the imaginary part, right, the j should be multiplied with some value. For that, don't say j2, right? Even this also false, right? So the 2j, something like that, right? Just prior to j, you need to have some value, right? value into j. You just think that way, right? Value into j. Otherwise, if you don't have value, if you just merely specify j, it will throw an error. That is what we have seen it here, right? So syntax error. Just keep that in mind, right? So how to use the complex data type, okay? And other also, right, the other built-in functions like the hexadecimal, right? You have something called hexadecimal. If you want to convert a decimal into hexadecimal number, that is possible, and octal representation also possible. Power of specified numbers also possible, right? For example, if I say a1 or not a1, let's say x, right? X is what value we have in x, 2.23. Let's say x equal to 2, and if I want to power the value x double star 2, you need to specify this way. Usually what we do is in other program we use caret symbol, right? We use caret symbol, but it comes under bitwise. The caret symbol represents bitwise operator. Bitwise operator. Everyone should be knowing, right? What is bitwise operator? Can someone explain me? Freshers can explain me, right? Those of you who have completed your this one computer science course, you can tell me, right? So when you use caret in Python, behind the scene the kernel thinks that's a bitwise operator, right? If you wanted to square the value, you need to use double star, x double star 2. Okay, if I use x star 2, simply it will multiply the value. 2 into 2, 4, right? Supposing you wanted to see, right, or let's say 2 to the power 4, 16. If I multiply x into 2, it gives me 4 only. If I want to take 2 to the power 4, right, 2 to the power 4, then you need to use double star. Now you understood what is the difference with star and double star. Star is just to multiply the value of x, and double star is to square the value of x, right? In this case, the value of x is 2 to the power 4, right? Hope you understood the difference between double star and triple star. Okay, so next one is we discussed about integer data type and float data type and complex data type. Okay, and little bit in between I discussed about the arithmetic operator, the plus, a multiplication, star, you have to use it. Yeah, that's what I used it as part of this exercise, right? Star is for multiplication purpose, and yeah, and also you have to take the square root of something, right? Sorry, the power of something, right? Power of something. And next what we will do is we'll discuss about other data type called string data type. Ashok Kumar. And I just want to check the data type of the variable s. Sorry, not a, here yes. STR stands for string data type. So I am going to insert a cell just below this. What I am going to I just move this up, okay? Here demonstrate string data type. So what I am going to say, I put comment here. Yesterday I discussed about, yesterday in the sense, assume that last session, okay? The hash is nothing but single line comment. When you execute this cell, the kernel will check. First it will check hash, right? If it is hash, it will not execute this line at all. It will simply ignore this line. When the kernel tries to execute this line, since the hash is there, it will not execute this line at all. It will simply ignore this one. Okay, fine. So how to define a single line comment? If anything you specify after a hash, that will be considered as a comment. So why do we have to specify comment? Why do we have to use comment? That is the best practice. If you write any program, if you write any script, you need to specify the comments wherever it is appropriate, right? Wherever I won't say each and every line you put comment, no. Wherever it is important, you will have to appropriate you need to. Supposing you are using, you are performing some kind of data analysis, right? So you need to specify the comment. In the comment, you need to specify for what type of business problem you are implementing this logic, right? And so you need to specify it in plain business English, and then in the subsequent cell, if you implement the logic and if you execute this one, right, it will display the output. Instead of str, it will say some values, right? For example, you want to compute the principal interest, right? The bank, right, you will be using the how to compute the compound interest, right? So you need to use some formula. You need to specify why you are using this formula, right? What is the purpose of using this formula, right? So in that case, you will be specifying the purpose of using that formula here, right? In comments, okay? So that people can understand the formula also, which formula you used it, which logic that you used it. By going through your comment section, they'll be able to understand. See what I did here, I just put single hash, right? And then I went here and I just selected markdown. And here what I'm going to do is, that's all. I just clicked run. It got executed. So this looks so neat, right? So it looks like your article, when you write any article, wherever it is required, right? You put, or for example, any new paragraph starts, you will give some title for the paragraph. Same way you can give it. So that it will be very neat and good. Anybody, when they go through your notebook, they will be able to understand where you did what, right? So demonstrate string data type. So yes is the type of yes when I gave, I could see that is a str. Str stands for string data type. Fine. Now I wanted to extract the k alone from this string, k alone, the value k. We will leave k because k is available in two places. I want to extract only O. How can I do that? How can I do that? We use something called square bracket. The square bracket is to take a specific value from a string or any other data type. Any other data, in the case of collections, right? Data structures. In the case of data structures, if you want to extract a specific value from the string, take for example the case of string data type. If you want to select or fetch only the specific string or the range of string, or instead of fetching O alone, for example, if somebody wants to select these three values alone, how can I do that? So what happens is, in the case of array, it stores the values in memory. When it comes to string, like other languages, Java and C, right, it stores the value in an array, and also it maintains the index value for each and every value. Each and every value. I'll just show you with some annotation. Okay, this is not much helpful. I'll just close it. Let me use my PowerPoint and I'll just show you. I'll show you here. For example, here I'll just put Ashok Kumar. What happens is, it will store the values something like AS, each and every string literal, each and every, right, AIHO Ashok Kumar. It will store the value contiguously, right? So Kumar Depends on how you if you could have left some space between these two, then there will be space here. Okay, let's assume that there are no space between these things. So in the memory it will maintain some indexes 7, 8, 9. This is the memory location, in which location of the cell, right? In which location of the cell what value is there. For example, in the third location of this memory 0 O is there. If I want to select only O, I need to specify 3. Where? What is my variable name here? My variable name is yes, right? So the memory name is yes here. The name of the memory is yes here. This is my yes. This is called your yes, right? The entire thing is your yes. Inside this, it maintains a index value. If I specify yes square bracket 3, that means in this location s of 3, the O is stored. It will show me the value of s of 3, which is nothing but the O in this case. For example, if I go back here, s of 3, if I give, what will come here? What will I get it here? The third location, the index value. These are called as your index values, right? This is called your array name is yes. It's kind of an array, right? S is an array. In the array, it maintains the index value for each and every cell. These values are contiguously stored in the memory, right? Because of this, string is also called as an ordered data type. Ordered data type in the sense the values are stored continuously, right? There is no space. That's the reason why store the index values are stored continuously like this, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look here, O, it fetched O. Okay, now you tell me, how do I select the values from H to K? The first index value starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I am going to give some range of values, 2 to 4. HOK, okay, 2 to 5 I have to give. HOK, 2 to 5. This is how you can select the. So what is the first one? 2, the start value. The end minus 1, end value minus 1. So what happens is, when it comes to Python, though you specify the range of the values, right? Start from the second index value, 0, 1, 2, H, right? 0, 1, 2. In the second S of 2, right? In this address, the value H is stored, right? Select H till 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the blank space, right? So what happens is 2 to 5. So to start from the second index value till the last value minus 1, last value of the index minus 1, 2 to 4. So 2, 3, 4, HOK, end value minus 1. You need to remember this one. This is the syntax. You need to follow this one. This is specific to Python. 2 colon 5. So start value colon start index value colon end index value minus 1. Start from the second index value H till the fourth value. N value is, here I mentioned 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. If you specify 4, you will get only HO only. My requirement is I want to select from H to till K. So range, colon specify range of values. But if you specify individual value, that means for example, I want to select only the third, the HO only, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? The fourth place, O is there, 0, 1, 2, because the index value starts from 0 and all, okay? So, hence the third location, the O is stored. You can, if you want to fetch only this letter, you should be knowing the index value, right? So, or the other thing is, if you want to select the range of values, you can use this one. For example, if I want to select only the last letter here, minus 1. If you specify minus 1, it gives me OR. If I give minus 2, second value from your right, right? So OR A. from the right side the second value minus 2. Okay, and supposing I want to select, I am not going to specify anything before colon, right? After this I am going to specify 5. If I don't specify anything before colon, that means start from the beginning, 0th index value, right? Start from the from the 0th index. See, start from A till the end value minus 1, right? K. Ashok. Similarly, if I specify something like 0 colon nothing, if I don't specify anything till the end, start from 0 the index to till the end. If we don't specify anything after the colon, print all the values starting from this location. Or let's say if I specify 5, fifth position is blank space, right? Ashok space Kumar I have given, in the PowerPoint I should have given space, right? Space is there, space Kumar. You want to start from this one, start from the 6th index value. The 6th index value is Kumar, K, right? The 6th index value K, and print till the end of the string. Okay, and is there any way if I can concatenate the string? For example, you can just put plus sign like other language you use it, right? Plus sign, you can use it this way also. Ashok Kumar. But if you want to leave space in between, what you do, start from the 5th position, because 5th position already have blank value, Ashok space Kumar. This is how you can concatenate the values. String concatenation you can do using plus sign, right? There are other alternatives also there. We'll discuss it later. Okay. And I was talking about the comment, right? Start from the 0th index. How do I specify single using hash? If I wanted to specify multi-line comment, how can I specify? You need to use 3 quote, and then specify. Today we will go through all the data types, data structures in depth. If I execute this one, I should have mentioned 3 code. Okay. It is a multi-line comment. See, no error, right? It was not throwing an error. To specify the multi-line comment, you can use hash also, but each line you need to type repetitively. Here also hash, you have to put hash, right? 3 lines you need to prefix with hash. In this case we have 3 lines of comments are there. Supposing I have 10 lines of comments are there. In that case, or 15 lines, 20 lines of comments are there. In that case, I cannot type hash for each and every line. So all you have to do is begin with 3 single quote, end with 3 single quote. Or else, I think double quote also will work. I usually use single quote. You can use either single quote or double quote also, but 3 single quote or 3 double quote you need to use it. But when you start with 3 double quote, you need to end with 3 double quote. If you use 3 single quote, it will throw an error, and vice versa. Okay, only this thing. So this is how you can specify the multi-line comment. And we have something called docstring. We'll discuss it little later when I walk you through the functions, right? How to implement functions, how to define a function, everything. I'll just quickly tell you how to use a function. Those of you are completely unaware of function, what is function is all about, don't worry. Okay, anyhow, I'm going to explain you in detail, probably in today's session or the next session. Okay, to define a function, user defined function. I'm going to use, you need to use a reserved word called def, defining a function, okay, def. So let's say I want to use square, I want to square the value, simple function. So x, I'm going to use, inside the square is a function, hence I am using the parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis I specified the argument x, right? Return, I'll have to specify return. So this is my function. Inside the function we want to specify, here also you need to use 3 code, okay, and this function will square the values, and then you need to end with triple quote. So this is called your doc string. Doc string is used with functions, methods, classes or packages. So this is a function, right? We'll see what is method and all later, right? When you use a function inside a class, we call that as a method, right? Here I did not use any class here. The OOPS concept, right? We have something called class. Inside the class, if you use function, we call that as a method. We don't call that as a what? We don't call that as a function. Two, four, right? I just passed. So this is how you have to define a function. Very simple function, 2-liner command. But here to demonstrate to you what is this is also called the doc string, okay? Here also you can specify multi-line command inside this one, but this is called the doc string, okay? Def square of x, this is a function name, the argument name is x, return x into x, okay? So here I am going to call this function. I want to execute this function. How do I execute the function? Specify the function name. Inside the parenthesis, you need to specify whichever value you want to square it. I just specify 2 here. This one will be assigned to this one, 2, and the 2 will come here, and the same 2 gets assigned here, right? Since x is holding 2 now, 2 into 2 is 4. It returns the value 4. The function has to end with the return statement. We'll discuss about the return statement, and we have something else called, see, if you take any language, you have built-in function, user-defined function. Any other functions are there? Probably recursive function. They say recursive function, right? Recursive. Any other functions are there? Any other type of functions are there? Can someone tell me? See, today I unmuted. Yeah, the last session mistakenly I muted you all. You can unmute and you can talk. Let's make it very interactive, very friendly way, right? Instead of only me talking, right? It will be boring. So user defined function, built-in function. What is a built-in function? For example, here x equal to 2.23. This is the decimal value. There are some built-in functions are available. Int of x. Okay, and I'm going to, this is called typecasting, and I'm going to say, yeah, see, in this case the x is the one second, the type of x. I'm going to use type of x. This is the, sorry, I'm going to 2.3 type of small x. Yes, see, it's a case sensitive. Small x is not same as the this one, right? Capital X. So this is the float data type. The x is a float data type. I want to convert the float data type into integer data type. For that I am using a built-in function called int. What it does is it converts the decimal into integer value. So I am going to use a print function now. Print and print of x now. Look here. This line says print, sorry, this is the int, right? The x is the integer data type, and what is the value of x now? 2. Earlier 2.23. What this int function did? The int function converted the decimal value into the whole number. Okay, when I say like this, for example, 5 2. still it says 2, right? For example, 5 9. Anyhow, we have something called floor and seal. Seal, right? You know sealing, right? Sealing will convert based on the value which is closer to the next higher number. The ceiling is closer to the next lower number. So that point, that we'll see it later. X is actually a floating data type. Using the built-in function called int function, I converted the float data type into integer data type. Okay, fine. Similarly, in the case of string data type, okay, we have a variable called yes. I'll just type it once again. In this variable, I could see Ashok number, Ashok Kumar, right? Ashok Kumar. I'm going to use some function, case of yes. One second, let me just see the function name is case. I don't remember it on top of my case holder, something like that. One second, let me just type it here itself. Okay, I don't remember. Lower of yes. If I give lower of yes, name lower is not found. Okay, what is the variable? Yes dot lower. Ashok Kumar. Look here. S dot lower function convert all the values into small letter. We have some lower function. Okay, the other, what I am trying to say is S1 is equal to, I have something like 2. So S1 is equivalent to int of S1 into 5 parent S1. What will happen here? Since you specified the value 2 inside the code, it is a string data type. I'll just show you the data type of S1, So what happened here? The type of the S1 is a string data type. Though we assign the value 2 to S1, it is string data. Why? Because you did not assign the value to just like that. You put you surrounded the value 2 by quote, single quote or double quote. You can specify double quote also, but you need to start with, when you start with a single quote, you need to end with single quote when it comes to string. If you want to define a string variable, right, string value, right, either you can use single quote. Let's say if you want to specify double quote, you need to make sure that you are ending that with double quote. Okay, fine. So now it's a string data type. I used a built-in function called int function. What this does is it converts the string data type into integer data type. So now it is 2 into 5 10, print S1 10. So here also I use the built-in function. The lower function is a built-in function, the int is a built-in function, and in this case square of x is not a built-in function, it's a user-defined function. This also I will share it, this Jupyter notebook. Okay, you can use it for your reference. The reason why I started with function now is, right, ideally I should not have started now, to demonstrate how to use the docstring. Okay, fine. So now we just prior to this, right, I discussed about single line comment, and now you learned how to define multi-line comment, and in the case of string data type, how to access the values, specific values, how to access the range of values, how to subset the values, right? This is to subset the values, subsetting the values. Okay, next what I'm going to do is, let's take the same string variable yes. Instead of a, I wanted to replace the a with some other value. Okay, s of 0 gives me a, right? Fine. On the right side, the equal sign is called your assignment operator. The equal sign is called your assignment operator. I'm going to use something called okay. So K Shok Kumar. Instead of A, replace the A by K. If I give this, what happens? String object does not support item assignment. You cannot modify the value, right? You cannot modify the value. Once you store the value in a string, you cannot modify, right? Hence, the string is called as immutable object. So everything is object in Python. String is called as an immutable object.
Sir, you said some dark string.
Yeah,
What is that dark string means?
docstring is nothing but multi-line command. You just think that way, okay? When you use docstring, right? Docstring is nothing but
Doc is DOC, doc string, is it?
yeah, docstring, right? This is called your docstring, right? They say docstring, okay? It's a multi-line comment only. Inside the function, inside the method, inside a class, we use
Okay.
this one, okay? The docstring, multi-line comment. Fine. So okay, the next one is, so can I modify the value of a string? You cannot modify it. You can select the value and you can do everything. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, tell me.
Sir, I didn't get you what you told. Doc string.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just show you here. Okay.
Can you please repeat it again, sir?
So document, see that's what string literals that appear right after the definition of a function, right after the definition of a function, formal definition if you want it, right? See, this is the function, right? See, oh, the same thing he used it here. So takes in and look here. This is how you need to specify the comment. If you want to specify multi-line comment inside the function, what is the function? Square n is the function, right? Inside this function body, if you want to specify anything, right? Any multi-line comment, why this function is used, what logic we are going to use it, right? So in that case, you will be using doc strings or strings used right after the definition of function, method, class or module. Okay, that is what a doc string. You saw my screen, right? That is what doc string. Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, this is what string, right? Nothing but a string literal. In simple term, it is a multi-line command. You can specify the multi-line command inside the function. Okay, that's what you can see here. I showed you just above the cell. For example, if I say y is equal to 2 plus x print y, just above this I mentioned this. There are situations you cannot write the statement sequentially. In order to maintain the modularity, that is the best practice. You'll have to use function, class or packages. In that case, inside the package or inside the class or method or function, you will have to specify the comments. Why you need to specify the comments? As I told you, comments, mentioning the comments wherever it is really required, right? You have to specify the function. Sorry, the comments. The comments are helpful to understand the functionality of the function. In this case, what this function does, this function will square the values. Okay, fine. So that is what docstring. Okay, multi-line command. You just think it's a multi-line command. Okay. S of 0 will give you the first letter in the string a, right? So a, and you want to overwrite the a by k. It is not possible. But let's say your manager is asking you, hey, if it is not working, it is fine, but the requirement is, yes, you need to remove a and you need to put k here. I don't know what you are going to do. If there is a limitation, I don't care, but that is the requirement. What will do? How will you do this? Assign the value. You cannot assign the value here, right? How will you do that? Assign this letter to a variable, right? And then you have a range value, right? Start from 1. This is the first index, first location, right? Index value is 1, 2, 3. 1 colon s square bracket 1 colon. If you give, start from s to till the end of this one, it will give, right? For example, yes, 1 colon. If you give, it will start from, it will ignore yes, right? It will not select that one. And then what you do is you assign that value yes to some value, right? So let's say yes equal to a. What you do is yes plus yes of 1 of a, right? No, it will not do this one. And okay, yeah, you have another option is available. The 1 second, I'll just open that. You have some string data type is there, okay? String data type, this is string data type. In the string data type, you have something called dot is there. Dot, I don't remember the syntax. String formatting. Yeah, so you assign this one, and or else what you do is, the simple way of doing is you assign this to another variable, right? So this s1 is equal to, and what you do is print yes, and then what you do is plus, right? Yeah, the concatenation s1. This is another way of doing it, but you here s1, right? I see, I made a mistake here. I should have used different variable, right? Actually the S is holding what? S is holding the Ashok Kumar, right? See, S is holding Ashok Kumar. I mentioned the same variable and I assigned different value, that's why it got confused. Okay, and here, and I say S1, no, I'm not going to say yes itself, I'm going to say yes now, and I'm going to say print yes plus S1 plus this here yes S1 plus yes. This is one way of doing it, okay? Apart from this, you have some other dot, you can, okay, this is a case fold. Case fold is to convert all the value. This is what I was telling, right? If you want to update the string, like I told you, right? The same way you can do it. This is one way of updating the string, and boolean. So I click on it. See, that's what I mentioned here. Hello world, and print updated string x1 colon 6. What is colon 6? Before colon I did not mention anything. That means start from the beginning. If you don't specify anything before colon, that means start from the beginning. But here, start from the hello 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? W, but n minus 1 will give you hello space, right? Hello Python world. So hello Python world. So you can concatenate this way also. You can subset the value and then you can do it. There is another way of doing it. I don't remember it. I'll tell you in the later. Okay, little later. Okay. This is you just remember string is an immutable object. What do you mean by immutable? You cannot modify the value. Once you store the value, you cannot modify that. Write protected. You just think that way. Okay, you cannot modify. String is called as an immutable object. Now you understood how to define a string variable, string data, and then how to check the data type using type, right? So how to define a string data type, fine, and how to slice or subset the specific values, right? How to specify the select the specific values from a string value, right? And then how to update the value. This is one way of updating the value. Instead of A, right, I want to have K Shokumar, right? So I overwrite the value. So you need to subset the value, and you need two variable, right? So two variable, or at least one more variable is required to assign the intended value, and then concatenate the intended value with this value, right? That is how we can do it. And the next thing is step function. Step, right? How to now we know what value is stored in yes. Okay, the same thing. I'm going to assign it one more time. Yes, Kishore, you have any question?
Sir, no, sir. Actually, it's by mistake.
Oh, okay. Ashok Kumar, right? Fine. Hey, if you have any questions, open, and ask me, right? So, okay. Sudeep, you're, are you there? You're not at all talking? Yes. And for example, if I don't say anything before and after colon, what is going to happen? Tell me now, if I don't specify anything before colon, what will happen? It will start from the beginning, right? Start from the beginning. If I don't specify anything after colon, till the end it will print. Start from the beginning. The S is nothing but this one behind the scene. The S, the variable S is nothing but inside the square bracket colon. Start from the index value 0 to till the end. That is what it says. You need to understand this one, okay? And then I want to show you, supposing I want to start from the beginning value A, and then I want to end till the end, right? So, and then I want to use one more colon. And then I want to print 2. Let's see what happens here. What is happening? Can someone tell me what is happening?
Sir, it's skipping, sir.
Skipping, very good, superb, right? It is skipping the value. So it skips 2 times, right? Start from the beginning letter A till the end. Ashok Kumar, the entire Ashok Kumar will be selected, but at the end of it, I specified the 2. 2 is nothing but increment. When you select the values from Ashok Kumar, skip by 2 locations. Start from A, 1, 2. H, and again 1, 2 K, and again 1, 2 capital K, and again the second portion, and again the second portion is R. You understood, right? This is how it selects this value. Suppose you want to select the increment. This is called let me do one thing. Start value colon end value -1 and colon step size or increment by. This is the correct word, increment by 2. Select all the values. Within this value, you need to skip the values by 2, right? You need to increment by 2. A, H, K, and then next K, but it takes into account of the space also, okay? Okay, and then it goes to M, and then it goes to R. So this is to skip the values or increment the values, right? So you need to remember start value colon n minus 1. Increment by 2. You can specify 2 colons also, right? But don't think start from 0 and end with 2. No, because we mentioned 2 colon here. This is very important. Once you understand this, the same operations or the same approach we will be using it to subset the values from list. There is a data structure called list and another data structure called, what is that? Tuple, Tuple, tuple. Okay. Fine. Now you understood the data types. What are the data types? Number data type. As part of number, we have integer and float data type. And then complex number, we understood. In the complex number, two components. One is real and an imaginary. The imaginary part suffixed with value j, right? The string value is or the j, suffixed by j, right? And string data type, we have seen it. Next one is Boolean data type, right? Boolean data type. So what is Boolean data type? What is Boolean data type? True or false, right? If you take any language, the Boolean data type is true or false only, right?
Binary values.
Yeah, binary values, right? Booleans are in general two constant objects. It only have two values. The binary, the Boolean data type, Booleans, right? This is another data type. The Boolean data type, we have we get either true or false, right? But in Python, the Booleans are considered as the numeric type in Python. Remember that. 1 second, I'll just type it here. If I specify 3 hash, look here, the font size got reduced, right? Those of you who are familiar with HTML, you can play around with this. Formatting, everything can do well. Okay, fine. So this is the Boolean data type. Booleans are considered as numeric type. So for example, in Python, right, we specify the Boolean values are specified either true or false. Sorry. True, false. The Boolean data types, right, are specified as true or false. The capital true, in the case of true or false, the first letter should be capital letter. Supposing if I specify true equal to 1, okay, and what is going to happen? True, right? As I told you, the Booleans are considered as numeric data type. The true is represented as 1 and false is represented as 0. Supposing if I say false equal to 0, not equal, double equal sign. What is double equal sign? Difference between single and double equal sign. Double equal sign is for comparing the values. Yeah, comparing the values. If I specify single equal sign, that means assignment operator. You are assigning the value 1 to true. That is not possible. True, right? False equal to 0. Because the value true behind the scene, right? The Boolean value true is as considered as 1 and the Boolean value false is considered as 0. Supposing if I say true, 1 second, true is equivalent to false divided by true, will it work? We will see what happens. Sorry, here the comparison operator, I am not supposed to assign the value. False is 0 divided by any value is 0, right? Hence it is false. Hence true is not equal to false, right? See here 0 divided by 1. 0 divided anything divided by 0 is infinity. 0 divided by anything is 0, right? False is 0 divided by 1 is 0 only. Hence this expression returns false. So true equal to false is false. Okay, I am going to say true here, right? True divided by true, it will return true only, right? So that is what it says. And then so in simpleton we can apply arithmetic operations. We can apply arithmetic operations to the Boolean value. And the Boolean operators, what are the Boolean operators? Can someone tell me the Boolean operators? Sorry, Boolean operators, and, or, not, and all, right? These are called your Boolean operators, right? And, or, not, these are called your Boolean operators. So, for example, true and true. Here you can use and, okay, and to represent the, and this is your logical operator, okay, and is a logical operator, okay. Assignment operator, arithmetic operators are like plus, multiplication, double star. These are all the arithmetic operators, right? The Boolean operators and true or false. Can someone tell me what is the output of this one? Either true or false. We have or operator is there, right? So any one of them are supposed to be true, right? So that is what it says. If I say false or true, what will happen? The opposite. What is going to happen? Even in this case, true only. When you use or, right, it will try to return the true one only. False or true, any one of them is true, that it will consider that one only, right? Supposing you say false, false equal to false, so it is true, right? Both of them are true only, right? False is equivalent to false, right? Both of them are same, hence it returns true, right? And or not. Sorry, you double equal sign here. What is not false? That means true, right? Not false is nothing but true. So since it is true, it gives true is equivalent to true. Yeah, these two are same. We are comparing true with true, hence it is true. And here true and true, right? And both of them should be true. If I say true and false, what will happen? Both of them are not true, hence it is false. And means both of them are supposed to be true, right? When you use true and false, right, both of them are supposed to be true, but here false is there, hence it is failing. If I use true or false, any one of them should be true. True is there, okay, fine. False or true, any one of them true is there, hence it returns true. This is the basic thing. You must have studied during school time, or school time itself. Nowadays CBSE, even for the 8th standard, right, they cover C and C++, C++ language. But anyhow, those of you are new one to programming part or studied in college long back, 20 years, 30 years back, so it will be a refresher for you, okay? So these are called your Boolean operator. True and false are your Boolean values. The Boolean data type will have only two values, one is true or false. In the case of Python, the Boolean values are considered as a numeric type. Okay, supposing here I am going to say see, 2 plus 2 is 2. 1 plus 1, 2, right? That is the reason why I mentioned this statement here. It is considered as 2. Okay, let us do one thing. False plus false. What it will give? What will it give? 0, right? True is 1, false is 0. Behind the scene, it assigns 1 to true and it assigns 0 to the false, right? Behind the scene, it interprets that way, okay? And that's the reason why I told you here. False is 0. 0 divided by 1 is 0 only. true is equivalent to false. 0 is nothing but false. So true is not equal to this false, hence it gives me false. So true is 1 divided by 1 is 1. True is equal to 1. Look here, true is equal to 1, right? Hence it is true. We can specify this way also. The reason why I cover the nitty gritty of all these things, right? Nowadays, irrespective of the level, first round of interview will be online test. Especially if you go for an interview with the premium companies or some good startup companies, they conduct test, the online test. Okay, you should be cautious about all these things. Okay. And they will ask you how to reverse the string. Now you mentioned Ashok Kumar, how do I reverse the string? How do I insert the value between so and so? Instead of O, I need to put something else, and M. So multiple strings I need to modify it in a string. You are saying you cannot modify the string, but you can select the range of the values. If I have a paragraph, one paragraph of text, and wherever O is there, wherever K is there, I need to replace it with some other value. How do I do that? You can do extensive the string manipulation using a package called regular expression. Okay, so for that you need to import the package. Import is a reserved word. RE is the package name. Someone already developed this package RE. This package, different methods are there, functions are there. Using the methods or functions, you can do any kind of operations. If you want to reverse the string, and if you want to replace multiple string literals with different values in one go, everything is possible. You have something called replace function is available, right? So a lot of functions are available. We will take a deep dive in a regular expression later part of this training program, because at the end of this training program we'll be covering natural language processing. I got a few new awesome case studies. Okay, so when we work on that, I will demonstrate you how to use regular expression extensively. That one will help you to not only crack the interview, especially in the case of bank and other thing, right? Hotels, you get feedbacks, especially in the case of e-commerce. They get feedback from the customer. See, I purchased recently I purchased a pulse oximeter and the flow meter, right, to check the lung function. I ordered it. After I received 2 days after I received the product, Amazon they sent they sent a message to my email ID asking me to give the feedback, review feedback. And again, after 2 days they were following up with me. Okay, let's say I give the feedback. I might be using, for example, American, right? They will be using a slang language as part of the feedback, and some people they'll be using some emoticons, right? Icons. Like in WhatsApp we use smiley emojis, right? And some people they use some abbreviations. In that case, the regular expression and other packages that are very much handy in terms of replacing the values with some meaningful values, right? Text processing, extensive text processing manipulation you can do with regular expression. Okay, that and all we'll see it later. At this moment, remember that these data types, whatever I covered so far, you please remember it. Okay, next one is we have something else called the data structures. This is the important topic in Python, but it's very easy. So once you remember the slicing the values, what do you mean by slice? When you buy the birthday cake, right? You slice the cake as per your wish, right? Some people they need a smaller pie, and some people they need a bigger slice, right? So based on our need, we slice the data also. So we use the square bracket to slice the data. The same thing we'll be using it in list also. First of all, let us try to understand list. So I'm going to define a list using a square bracket. Don't get confused. Satya, you told me square bracket is to slice the data. No, to define the list, also we'll be using square bracket, but the square bracket you'll be using it after the assignment operator, on the right side of the assignment operator. Okay, so here let's say I'm going to say 2 3 4 5 and 7. So I'm going to check what data type is that inside the square bracket. Now I specified the value. It is called as list. List is a fundamental data structure that is available in Python. List is mutable. Unlike a string, a list is mutable. What is mutable? You can modify the values. You can modify the value. For example, if I wanted to select the first element in the list, L of 0, same as string, okay, to access the value, L of 0 will give me the first value 2. Look here, 2. Can I modify the value 2 by 222? Yes, L of 0, the first index value in my list has to be replaced by this value 2. Okay, now if I see the L, instead of 2 you will find 222. My God, okay, 222, right? It's getting slower now. 222. The 2 got updated by the new value 222. But the same thing when I did it with a string, it was throwing an error. That means string you cannot modify it because it is a immutable object, whereas list is not immutable. It is modifiable. Mutable in the sense modifiable. Now everything is possible. You can select the range of values. For example, L of a square bracket colon, if I say 4, start from the first value 22 and 4, right? 0 1 2 3 except 4, right? End value minus 1, 0 1 2 3. You just simply think, right? If you specify 4, that means less value. You need to subtract 1 from that. So 2 2 3 5. The same thing you can do it here. L square bracket. Here I say 2 colon. So what am I going to get? 0 1 2. Starting from 4th to 2 till the end, you display it. I did not execute this. 4 5 7. Good. Right. So I can modify the value. Can I delete the value? CRUD operation. We say CRUD operation. Create, read, update and delete. In RDBMS we use this term CRUD, right? So can I perform CRUD? So you can update the value. Here I can say update a specific value, right? A specific value. And then can I delete the value? Delete a specific value. How can I do that? Now let us see what values are there in list. 222, right? I want to delete the first 222. How do I del? We have something called del, L of 0. I need to specify like this. Now you just type L and see whether the first element got deleted. Yes. Instead of specifying the value inside the square bracket, you need to specify index value. The index value starts from 0. In the index value 1 pointing to this one. Index value 2. If you want to delete 4, del L of list of 0 1 2, right? 2 needs to, hence this one will get deleted. So update, delete the value, and what other you can do it. The new list, how to create a list, how to read a value from the list, that is possible, and how to insert a value in the existing list. See here I deleted 22, and let's say your manager wants you to add append. You have something append function. Let's say you want to add 10 comma 12 and then print the value of L. After appending this, I wanted to see what value. Okay, only one argument. Yeah, you can append one by one. You cannot specify more than one argument. That is the reason why I put more than one argument. Now you understood, right? So the append function takes only one argument. You are not supposed to specify two arguments. You learned that one also by making the mistake. 3, 4, 5, 7. At the end of this, the 10 got appended. Okay, fine. So the next one is, let's say I wanted to, we have something called reverse. Reverse. One second. L. What happened here? It reverses the value, right? You have a reverse function, built-in function called reverse. What is my list name? L. L dot reverse function. If I give, what happens? It reverses the values that are stored in my list. Okay, this is not
That's
much. What is that?
Yeah, you're able to hear me?
Yes, now you tell me.
Yeah. Now that we have declared this value for 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
5, 7. So now there are 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 values. Now that we gave a command and deleted this 2, 2. Now there are only 4, 3, 4, 5, 7 are there. Example. Okay. If we want to again remove this 4. We should consider the older one, whatever we gave in the line 119, or the system will consider 121. Which one it will consider? We have already deleted 2, 2, so that is already out, or?
That is already out.
Okay.
So that's why, look here, delete a specific value, L of 0, right? When I specify L of 0, this first index value is 222, right?
Yeah.
I just typed after deleting this. I need to view, right? Once again I viewed the L by typing L and executing it.
Okay.
Triple
so
two
this is
got
the
removed.
revised one. 3, 4, 5, 7 is the revised.
Yes, this is the updated list value, right? This is the latest value, right?
So what
After
update
removing
will
the
be updated here only.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, but because you removed one element, obviously it will display the rest of the values only.
Okay.
The rest will this one will permanently get deleted. You got you got confused with string, right? Okay. So anyhow, so it got deleted. Even in the case of string, you cannot remove the values. Okay, good that you asked this question. In string, you cannot update the value. You cannot remove the value also, because it is immutable.
Okay.
In the case of list, you can modify the value and you can remove any specific value. Specific value you can update it, specific value you can modify it. And also you can reverse the values. 3, 4, 5, 7, you want to reverse it, 3, 10, 7, 5, 3, right? Display. It will be like this, and it will be made permanent only, okay? So on the next one
option was append. Append was adding it at the end.
Yeah.
But just wanted to know if I have to include some value in between, can that also?
Yes, that is possible. There are some options are available. We'll see that a little later, okay?
Yes.
So we have sort function. Okay, so now I did reverse, but it is not much helpful. I want to sort it because my values are jumbled here and there. We have some L dot sort. Okay, L dot sort. So you can use L dot sort to do this one. So in my thing, right? So what other things we can, the same thing, right? The list slice operator, 1:4, start from the first value to end, right? Start, end, step value also possible, and updation also I showed you, and prints complete list and tiny list into 2, and all these things is possible. A list can have heterogeneous data type. It can have string, it can have integer, it can have boolean value, and also it can have float values also. Okay, list can have heterogeneous data type. You can combine multiple data type into a list. And list comprehension. One second. So here prices and Okay, so right. So next you will see what is the list comprehension. And supposing I wanted to copy the values from L, this list to another list. Let's say I'm going to define a new variable called L1. On the right side, if I specify L, all the values that are there in my L, the list L will get copied to type L1. So cloning the list. How to clone? In the interview they use this term, right? Confusing term, clone. Don't get confused. It's nothing but copying a value of one list to another list. Okay. So simply you can assign the values of a list to a left hand side variable. It will become a list data type, and also you can view whether the values got assigned correctly or not, right? So here, look here, this is the list data type L1, right? I mentioned L1. I copy L on the right side of the equal sign. I specified L. The L is holding 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. All these values got copied to L1. Print type of L1. Print type of L1. What is the data type of L1? Okay, you copied it. After copying this new variable L1 became a list. Yes, it became a list. The next one is print L1. 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. Right, so L1 is holding all the values correctly. It is a list data type, and also all the values in list L got copied correctly to my list L1. We just confirmed it, right? And tuples. What else we can do is this is the one, right? Supposing I wanted to print each value one by one. In the case of L, see what he says is there is a requirement. In the list L, I have 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. If you wanted to copy to another list, you will have to do this one, fine. Very simple. But the question now is, the situation is, while copying each and every value from L to L1, you need to multiply each value by 2. You need to multiply. So 2 into 3, 3 into 2, 6, 4 into 2, 8, 5 into 7. These, the multiplied values should go to L1, not 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. Fetch each value and multiply each value by 2, and then the multiplied value should go to my L1. How can I do that? We can use for loop. I will explain you as part of the control structure and looping, right? How do we why we need looping and why we need to for I in, right? So that one I'll explain you. Print I. This is to select each and every value 3, 4 from my list, right? Right. So select each value starting from the beginning to the till then 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. And what you do is multiply this by 2. See, very simple, right? So first what it does is, in the first iteration it picks up 3 and then it multiply this by 2 and 4. 4 into 2 is 8, 5 into 2 is 10, 7 into 2 is 14, 10 into 2 is 20. Now these values have to be stored in where? The new list. The existing list should not get disturbed. This one should have this value. The existing list should remain intact. That means the existing values of this list should not get changed. But when you multiply each values of this list, each element of this list, right, that multiplied value gets stored in new list. How do I do that? So what I should do is, I will have to assign this to a variable called k is equivalent to I equal to 2. So this is one option. You can come up with different logic, right? And then what I have to do is, what is my list name? New list L1 dot append k, right? So multiply that value and then assign it to L1, right? And then finally print L1. So if I give this, what will happen is the L1 is not defined, because the L1 here I mentioned it. Oh, it's already there, right? It should not get confused with that. Yeah, let me give some new thing. It's hanging. Interrupting kernel should go away. It went away. Fine. So now connected. Okay. Now I'm going to start execute this one. Okay, let me do one thing. Instead of this, I will go to, it is hanging here. I will go to this one. My system itself hanging. I'll just close this PowerPoint. Colab. Go to Google Cloud. I can open Spider. Spider also takes longer time. It consumes a fair amount of memory. Yeah, it is throwing. Look here. Yeah, it came out. It worked now. So L is not defined. Name L is not defined. Oh, first of all, 1 second. L is 3, 4, 5, 7. What? Okay, L1 is equal to L. Fine. Okay, somehow I messed up with this one. Okay, let's say I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I'm going to create a new list. Fine. And next I'm going to select this one. I'm going to run this one. Let's see what happens. See, L2 is not defined. So L is there, L2 is not defined. What you need to do is you need to define the L2 as a list is equivalent to square bracket. On the right side of the equal sign, if you specify blank square bracket, right, that means you are assigning a empty list to this one. So L2 now became a list data type, and if I execute this one now, print L2. Here I have to use L2 here. See now what happened? Print L2. Once again I will print it here, L2, right? So L2 is holding the multiplied values of list L, right? 2 into 3 is, what is the new value of L? 2, right? Okay, I'll type L also here, don't get confused. The L, actual list L is holding this value, right? So when I iterate and fetch each and every element and multiply each and every element, and when I store it in L2 list, the L2 is holding 2 into is 4, 2 is 4, 3 into 2 is 6, 4 into 2 is 8, 5 into 2 is 10, 6 into 2 is 12. It did a perfect job. But it requires how many lines of code here? 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of code is required, right? 4 lines of code is required. So we have something called list comprehension. In the functional programming, that's the beauty of functional programming languages, right? Functional programming language, the advantage is you don't have to write so many lines of code. Whatever the logic you use it, right, in single line you can achieve it. What they did, my new list is going to be, let's say L2 is equivalent to, on the right side I'm going to use the square bracket, I into 2 for I in L. That's it. Only one line of code does the magic. See, both of them gives the same output, right? But here you have to write 4 lines of code, but whereas when you use list comprehension inside the square bracket, what for I in 1, and here itself I mentioned, right, I into 2, while fetching each and every element from L, multiply by 2 and then store it in L2. So list comprehension is very much helpful, right, in terms of reducing the number of lines of code. Hope you understood, right? for you the assignment is the same question you asked, right? How to assign a specific value in between, how to assign a value in between a list values. Okay, you try that one. That is an assignment. If I do everything, then what you are going to do? For example, in between 2, 3, 4, you insert some value like other 3, one more 3. How do you do that? But if you use append at the end of this one, it is doing it, right? So how do you append a new value in a specific position in the list? That is an assignment for you. Okay. And okay, the next one is, can I create nested list? Can I create nested list? So okay, now we have L and we have L2, two lists are there. Can I combine these two things? Yes, I'm going to say L3 is equivalent to, on the right side, L comma L2. L3 is the list of list, right? It has a nested list. It is having the list of L and, but if I wanted to slice the values, so now the slicing is a bit different. L3 of 0 if I give, the entire first list value will get displayed. But I don't want this to happen. Instead, I wanted to select only the value 5 from this list. How can I do that? 0, 1, 2, 3, third position, right? So use another square bracket and then you try this one. 5. Look here, this is how you need to slice the values in the case of nested list. Supposing you want to select the 8, how will you do that? L3 of year 1. So the 1 will give the second list, entire list. Within this second list, the third value 0, 1, 2, right, is 8. I need 8. This is how you need to slice it. I will share this notepad after this training program. Okay, and I would request you all to start practicing it. See, anyhow, this week I finished. This weekend you are free. Watch my video and pass it wherever required, and use my script and start practice it side by side. And also, try with different different options, something like different logic. Okay, different logic, something like that. Like reversing the string, how to reverse the string, and how to insert a value in a specific portion of the list, right? All these things you can try it. This is called nested list. And list comprehension you understood, right? So using list comprehension, we can write the concise statement in a less number of code. Okay, that is what concise. Okay, fine. With this I'm going to wrap up because it's already 11 o'clock, 11:10. It's going to be 11:10. Any questions so far? Sudeep, are you able to understand? See, Sudeep, first install it. Okay, install Anaconda, and then only, even if you don't install it, just start use Colab. I showed you Colab, right? Go to Colab and start use it. Since you have limitations in your laptop, right? You can use Colab. You don't have to worry about the memory, all the things. And in the next session we will see tuple, dictionary, and set, and also we will take a look at the NumPy package. Okay, the NumPy, using NumPy package, how to create array, matrix, and matrix multiplication, how to do that, what is dot product, and what is the rule for doing the matrix multiplication, and right, and also, yeah, we will see that one. Okay, in the upcoming
Okay,
session.
is it possible to have classes at weekends from next week onwards?
That's what, please bear with me for another till the end of this month here. Because see, up to 4th and 5th I'm going to complete the current batch, right? So
Okay.
from July onwards we will have it weekend night time. Okay, so that
Weekend night time.
yeah, that's fine, right?
Weekend, so if there is, if it is other time also, is it possible on weekend?
Yeah, what I right, because a couple of more people also they expressed, right, night time is good because daytime they will be getting some request in US time, right? Every weekend or so, or every alternative weekend, they are supposed to cover there's the support thing activities. Even for me, weekends, right? Saturday, Sunday, somewhere, sometime the other time, I'm getting calls from US guys. But what you are saying is correct. Week time, if we finish it in the morning, right, we can do our job in the evening.
I sure we. So only thing, if we going to cover at weekend, it will be good. I think.
Yeah.
Everyone-
So most of them preferred weekend only, right? But night time is okay for most of them. Anyhow, we'll discuss with others also. Some more guys are planning to join.
Anytime is okay.
Right,
Maybe noon time, morning, anytime.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll think and come back because some people, right, they are working during Saturday full time, alternative Saturdays. That problem is there. Office is there. We'll discuss. Okay, we'll discuss this offline.
Okay.
Right? Fine.
Thank you.
I'll share the script and start practicing it. Okay. Any
No,
questions? Any other questions so far? Nothing, right? Fine.
No, sir, nothing.
Since you don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap up the session now. We'll upload the video there. You can start, practicing it tomorrow and day after tomorrow without fail. Okay. Bye.
Okay, sir. He is my savior, pa. You see the replay pani paatha mudiyum. Suddenly it is disappearing. So the beauty of Python is, as discussed in the last session, it is a multi-purpose. So next you will see what is the best comprehension. Ayyo. So they say 2 or 3 is the x is those of you who are familiar with HTML, you can play around with this format. Do this one. It will not select that one. Specific J. So the value 4. இதுதான் காமி. Yeah, we'll discuss it offline. What we will do is